Alrighty, alrighty. Got this whole thing right here. We got with the Terminator passive income. Yeah, the passive income, especially with this whole one right here coming into it. But the Terminator, especially with Terminator and the passive income, like especially with this whole thing coming in right here, like I can really see, what's actually going on, especially, with the little bit of the trailer too, a little bit of the trailer, I didn't see, especially with Terminator and him having his passive income, this whole thing right here and everything else. But with the passive and the income, and then you got Terminator. So especially with his whole thing coming into it and everything else, and you know the whole Terminator.
Yeah, yeah. My discipline and mindset is one of one. Never plan to move bricks or tons. I just wanted a kickstart to buy some drums. Never dreamt a Rolex, just passive income. Never dreamt a Rolex, just financial freedom. My never plan to move bricks or tons. I just wanted a kickstart to buy some drums. Never dreamt a Rolex, just passive income. Never dreamt a Rolex, just financial freedom. My dreams was freedom. One thing for certain that's gonna get me there. Passive income. Passive, so I can chill out my drum.
Ooh, and he's really letting us know too, like what's the one thing that's gonna get him there is is the passive income. Like that passive income, he letting us know like what's gonna actually get him there and everything else. And then especially with the whole thing, like the other thing hitting, like hey, he put in the whole thing, like he said, kicking off just to get them drums, like kicking off just to get them drums, and with the whole, like even the whole thing, already, Fablish, like it has a Fablish to it, the way the whole thing is certain and everything else. Like, hey, you coming from, both critities and both things, especially with the whole thing, like, hey, hey, he's giving us that whole credential, like, hey, he's got that whole for normal.
Passive, so I can chill out my drum. Passive, so I can spend time with my fam. Passive, so I can spend time with my son. Passive, passive income. Passive is yards and yards, but I kept copping cars and cars.
Oh, passive income is yards and yards, but I keep, passive in you- them cars. Hey, passive income, them whole things, those benefits.
Copping cars and nines and stars. Thank God that time my gun did job. Would've been sitting down with the lifers, not building a future for my young stars. 18, I was driving big cars. S3s and that 33D with a 2-seater. You think all my peace was coming from QPR? My nose line was banging, I had my Lincoln Peter. I used to take man's passport, cause I was a loan shark. I wasn't satisfied with one income. Couldn't let anyone control my future. Hit 21, then caught my third yard. Then I copped a Range Rover. 4 years done a HMO, thought I was a terror. Copped a X6 and a Panamera.
Hey, he said when he copped his first thing when he was, even the ages that you're really considering, you're really restrictable. But he said with the whole thing, especially how the whole thing is already, you know, for for coming in, like it's coming in from all type of of an area of a thing, especially where it was plotted at too. Like they was in a definitely in a bando, like the way the whole thing is, considered and everything else, like especially a lot of these places, a lot of these guys go, because a lot of these guys, they like in dang, you could be in a dangerous area, you could be in a phenomenal area, anywhere, like, and especially how the whole thing is already set up and everything else, like it could be a a crazy phenomenon. You could be in a crazy phenomenal place, like, and you still in that, but you still, doing good, on your whole little, you know, passive thing, how they come at, especially how your circle and everything else.
Spent 40 improving my yard's interior. This is 014, was slanging in that period. Retired in 15, still controlling the area.
Oh, hey, see this whole thing though, the truth and everything else. But hey, this looks seems scary too. That whole thing right there. That looks some spherical thing right there coming into it. But yeah, the Terminator, especially with the Terminator, especially with him coming into it, like, I can actually see why it was called passive income, because he's the Terminator, and the whole thing. But he said with the passive and everything else, especially with this whole thing and everything else, especially it being how it being, like, especially with Terminator coming into it, like he was giving us a ludif of everything, every movement thing and everything coming into it. But especially with these right here and everything else coming into it, especially with that, just the whole thing, how the whole thing was already, exclusive, exclusive, exclusive losing and everything else. But make you guys definitely tune in and everything else. But with just this thing coming to a span of